Hi, welcome to the AI Localization Think Tank. Today I am here with Belen Garcia and Marina Pancheva, who are, for want of a better expression, the founding mothers of the AI Localization Think Tank. Thank you, Belen, thank you, Marina, for accepting my, I don't know what that is, invitation. I don't invite you to your own house, so I don't know what I should call this, but today Belen and Marina will talk about how the AI Localization Think Tank came to be, and we learn more about why this exists and who we are and what we want to achieve. So let's start with the why question. So what was in your head? What was the why in your head when you decided that the world needs the AI Localization Think Tank?
The why basically was to create a better industry for people in it, because I was feeling myself a little bit overwhelmed last year with all the AI. Everything is fast, everything is changing. I was feeling that the energy around me, people were feeling anxious, they were feeling overwhelmed. There was a lot of noise as well about AI and a lot of confusion, misunderstanding, a lot of push to like automate everything, and it seemed like we were doomed as an industry, as a profession. And I was starting to feeling a little bit overwhelmed, and I thought, well, I want to do something good for our industry, even if I'm working with AI, because that was also kind of what was in my mind. I'm contributing to this, and I might like making like a negative impact on the lives of people in the industry. I was really interested in AI, in technology, how things were evolving. I was enjoying learning about it very much. I was like, okay, I know lots of things about this and I want to share this. I want to create a community, create a space for people to come to share and basically build a common understanding of where we're going as an industry, and basically help each other so that we don't feel overwhelmed, we don't feel sad, isolated. So that was basically the initial idea.
I can only second Belen. I was feeling not that overwhelmed, but I've been into AI for the last 2 years, and I always had this feeling that I'm a lone runner doing the sprint, and I'm running so fast that I don't look around, developing one thing after the other without ever comparing notes with anybody. And the feeling that I had is that it is not really possible to compare notes because, at conferences, when you talk to people, there is certain limitation to how much one can share. In conversations with clients, again, we cannot just go and say, oh, these are all the problems we have. You need to talk about successes. So when Belen mentioned this idea, my immediate reaction was, yes, this is exactly what we need, because this will give us the environment and the community when we can openly talk about everything, compare notes, calibrate our efforts, understand, are we getting it totally wrong? Are we running in the wrong direction? What will the people on the other side say? And by other side, I mean people such as the end users of the technology we develop, the clients, the buyers, the freelancers. One person cannot represent them all. One person cannot think about all the different points of view. That's why when Belen mentioned it, I went into that because I thought this will be the place where we can talk with others to see every problem from all possible angles and really create a holistic view on the problem, and ideally then share this view with the wider industry so that everybody has the benefit of looking at a given problem from multiple sides and evaluating multiple aspects, risk, benefits in a way that is as objective as possible. And one of the things that Belen mentioned back then, which really brought me for that cause, was create a safe space. The answer to the question, why did we create the think tank, is because it is a safe space where we can say whatever without being afraid of a back. We can ask any question, and we know that the other think tank members will not interpret it wrongly. It will be really just a question asked because of curiosity, because we really don't know, and we want to find the answers without any hidden agenda. The only thing that we're after is share pure knowledge with each other and the industry.
Thank you very much. Both of you said the word cause, so it's not simply a roundtable where people talk to each other, but we also, I keep saying we because I'm also a proud member of this think tank. we want AI to exist in the localization industry in a way that it has value, that it has proven value for the human end users. I just wanted to ask you now that we have been at it for quite some time now, what do you think is needed before AI has proven value? When do you think the division of tasks between humans and machines will become clearer? Because one of the things that pretty much everybody in the industry keeps talking about is, in this new world of AI, where is the role of the humans? What is the space that the humans can occupy? When and how do you think this is going to be clearer?
So, by definition, I think the division of labor between human and AI is not clear. That is where the whole problem is. And the reason for that is because we have artificial intelligence. And we always thought that intelligence, this is a unique property of humans and, let's say, other mammals and living animals, living creatures. But, the human brain is considered to be the pinnacle of intelligence. We are the pinnacle of evolution. Okay. And now suddenly come these enormous models that have been trained on incredible amounts of data, and they compete with us for certain tasks. And one can say that they are intelligent in some way. Maybe the underlying mechanism is not exactly the same that humans have, but the surface behavior is the same. This is why we have this overlap of tasks that can be performed both by humans and AI. I think that's going to be a problem that will stay forever, simply because the skills and capabilities that both humans and AI have overlap now, and there will be overlapping more and more. So I wouldn't try to basically discern what tasks are human only. The way I would tackle that problem is by deciding not what tasks will be forever human and what tasks will be forever handled by automation and AI powered automation, but rather what do we want AI to do for humanity? The question boils down to, do we want AI to replace humans, or do we want AI to augment humans? And what I see in our industry currently is a very strong trend to replacing humans. Let's have AI translate instead of humans. Let's have AI do quality evaluation instead of humans, and only keep the humans at the end of the loop to validate and be accountable for any issues that may have slipped. In my dream, we don't use AI to replace, but we use AI to augment, which means don't replace a translator by AI, but use AI to assist translator, translate faster or translate better. One thing that I hear a lot from translators is that they use AI a lot, but actually not in the way in which tool developers think translators use AI. They use AI as a brainstorming partner. Translators love working with AI as a brainstorming partner, but not as a generator of initial translation draft that the translator needs to only post at it, because this actually kills creativity. But translators use AI to enhance their creativity by having a buddy there to discuss possible translations and get inspired. So for me, that is the question. Do we want replacement or augmentation by AI?
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Marina. And there is an article that actually John from our think tank shared the other day about the concepts of centaurs and reverse centaurs. That was such an amazing read. Basically, what it says is that centaurs are the humans that are using AI to serve them in their purpose. This is augmented concept that you mentioned. And reverse centaurs are the ones, the humans that are serving the AI, which is what we're doing in our industry. We are post-editing, and we are serving the machine. The machine is in control, the human is serving the machine, because we are fixing what the machine is doing, and the machine is doing the fun stuff, right? The translation, the process, the thinking, and we are just cleaning that. So I think in the line of what Marina was saying, that is the question. What are we trying to achieve with this? Because to me right now, the goal in the industry is to reduce cost. That's how AI is being leveraged today, or 80% of the times. Some people are using it in more creative ways, but most people are using it to reduce costs. So at some point, we know that in our industry, prices are going down. For freelancers, prices are going down, and it's going to be not sustainable. It's already not sustainable in some places, but it will continue to be worse and worse. Okay, if certain type of content is just ephemeral content that the companies don't really care that much about, throw that to the automation machine. Don't put humans there in the loop, because they are not making enough money, they are not being creatively stimulated, they are not satisfied, I believe, from the conversation that I'm happy. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I'm perceiving. So really create great AI for that use case and forget about the human in the loop. And then we will have all this is related to also the concept that you brought, Marina, last year about artisan translators versus mass production. So we will have like a spectrum of specialization where we will have more and more specialization. So that low specialization bucket, let's machines do it. Let's not bring humans there, or maybe humans who are not specialized and want to do something on the side, but not real translators and real linguists who have a lot of talent and don't want to waste it there. Then we have the human workflow, where we have humans who are highly specialized in specific fields, legal, medicine, gaming, audiovisual, and so on and so forth, where you want a human for high stakes type of content. You want a human that not only validates but augment. So in those workflows, let's not use AI to reduce the cost. Let's use AI to what Marina is saying, to augment, to make people work faster, better, and so on and so forth. But let's not pay less, because the output should be the same. And then the next step for me, which is some people in the industry have been talking about, that is the outcome, no? Which is super difficult to measure, right? Because each content can have a different outcome. Some information about a medical device will have a different outcome than a marketing campaign from X. So there is not a universal outcome that the content that we produce have. But let's move on to that next step. Let's analyze what's the objective. And for me, that's the next level of specialization, where you don't only create a very professional, well-crafted translation with experts, but also you are doing something special to have an impact on the user. So be it you are having an impact on the UX or on the UI, or you are making the content more inclusive. You are changing the narrative so that the content is more inclusive for people with disabilities, with people that come from minority groups, and so on and so forth. Or you are tweaking the text to appeal to the emotions of the human. The brand wants to connect with the human at an emotional level, so you do something different. Transcreation, call it whatever you want. The more we move into this spectrum of specialization, the more I see where the human value will come. And AI will be great for the mass production, for the chain of the translation. You have the
Fast fashion.
the fast fashion, the fast translation. Let AI do that, and let's focus humans, creatives, translators. Let's focus on that other side of the spectrum, for which I believe there will still be demand. Because, and this is an example from John the other day as well, from our think tank, because McDonald's exists doesn't mean that Michelin restaurants are out of business, right? On the contrary, Michelin restaurants are making tons of money, probably more than McDonald's. So let's focus on that.
Thank you very much, both. This leads us to another question that you have already mentioned in the introduction, that we are talking about the responsible and ethical use of AI. And when you talked about the separation of tasks, the separation of work between humans and AI, several aspects of this were brought up, but what do you think, if you need to sum it up, what do you think the responsible and ethical use of AI means? And let's move away from whatever legislation says, because legislation is always compromise, and we are not bound by that.
If I'm to sum it up in one intuitive answer, not based on legislation, not based on all the publications about that, for me, responsible and ethical usage of AI is AI usage and deployment that actually involves the end users and all the people in the loop who are there. What I find risky is when large corporations decide to deploy AI for a particular purpose without thinking about the end users and the effect on them. They consider the ecological impact, they consider bias and all those things which are mandated by legislation. But legislation doesn't mandate the actual impact on end users. And there are trends that we observe which are basically glossed over. For example, one of the very clear trends is the mediocritization of language, something I call AI mediocrity. Johan from the think tank, he's also an anti-mediocrity a member who's been writing about that. My concern is that language gets flattened across the board. It becomes bland, it becomes uniform, and the long-term impact on humanity as a general might be non-reversible. The more we are exposed to these uniform, bland, mediocre translations, yes, they do not have grammatical issues, right? All the punctuation there may be correct, but all this content that is being generated, and currently it's a massive amount of content, that is going to influence the way we perceive and use language. So that at some point, this medium quality, this good enough quality that we are bathed in, at some point will become the best quality we have. It will become our standard. This is something that we don't talk about, but I think it is important to maintain quality of language simply because language is a faculty that is so unique to humans. I don't like seeing it being kind of flattened. We are losing the richness.
Yeah, that's again such a complex question because what's ethical, what's unethical? I mean, there are tons of books and articles and philosophers that have been tackling the concept of ethics for centuries. So it's not such an easy thing. I also feel that being ethical in the modern society that we live in the capitalistic world, it's very difficult in general. I don't know if you've watched the TV show The Good Place, but if you haven't, I think that's a very good definition of how complex it is. I won't spoil you, but how complex it is to make the right choices so that you end up in heaven. So it's difficult per se. The clothes that you're wearing, the food that you're eating, how much plastic are you using, and so on and so forth. So let's start with that. No one is perfectly ethical today because we all have our complexities. That's on one side. Regarding AI and specifically our industry, I think it's really important, first of all, to listen the complaints from the artists, the creators, and the people whose content has been stolen sometimes from them to put them into these models. And I mean, our think tank friend Nika, she's an expert on AI and copyright. So you can follow her on her channel and learn more about this. But basically now there are many companies, especially the big companies who have the money to sue OpenAI and Midjourney and so on and so forth. They are suing them saying, hey, you've used my content, now you have to pay me. I want to be compensated, right? And we are seeing how these big companies, the Disneys and the big corporations of the world are now suing these companies because they want a new revenue stream, basically.
As always, money resolves all ethical issues.
Exactly. So the problem that we have in our industry is that the content that has been scratched from the internet, even your blog post or whatever, has been used to train these things, and you're never going to be compensated because you are not Disney, right? So that definitely creates an issue for me, ethical issue, that we cannot really control. I mean, we can talk about it, we can complain, we can cry about it, but it's difficult to manage. Actually, the other day in Log World, the keynote speaker said something like, governments never regulated social media, and we know how harmful social media is. They are not going to regulate AI. 99% sure, right? So that's something that we will need to think about and talk about in public forums as well. So that's one part of the ethical aspects. And the other part is the impact that deploying this technology has on the humans in the loop or in the end users, as Marina was saying. So on the humans in the loop aspect, what I was saying before, let's not pay peanuts to people to fix things. You want AI generated content, just go with full AI automated content. The technology is evolving, so if that's something that you care about, like, not push humans further because it's not gonna result into good results, and you end up exploiting people, basically the same way that Shane is exploiting the workers who are doing the t-shirts that some people are buying. So that's one aspect of the AI. And then on the end user side, I think what Marina was saying is super important, because are we degrading as a species, as a society? Are we becoming dumber? Are we creating stuff that is less appealing, less true, less authentic? And how will that impact us and our children? That's an ethical aspect that I don't have an answer for, honestly, but that we will see. It's like smoking was a cool thing in the 40s and kids were smoking. I think it was Estabula that shared this the advertisement from the I don't know which age with kids smoking, and now we are giving kids AI and say, hey, go, this is cool, look at it. And we don't know which impact this will have because there is no data available yet. So many ethical concerns around AI.
Thank you. I think we can promise one thing that we will talk more about is within the framework of the think tank, which leads me to this question. Where do you see the think tank grow? How do you want it to evolve in the future? What is your vision about it?
Honestly, I haven't really thought about it, if I'm being completely transparent here. I'm not a very ambitious person in the sense that I want to grow an empire or something like that. So I don't think a lot about it. I'm actually very impressed from what we have achieved so far. I mean, I couldn't have dreamed about having this group, this community, this website, creating content every Thursday. Marina, thank you for keeping us on our toes and telling us we have to do it, we have to deliver. It's a lot of work, but actually it doesn't feel like a lot of work in a bad sense, because every time we're putting something together, it's really a learning exercise, an intellectual exercise that we share among each other. And I'm already super proud and super surprised by what we have achieved so far as a group. So I'm really happy about it. If I have to think about the future, of course, something that is in my mind is how to involve more people. I know many people have been reaching out to some of us. How can I contribute? How can I be part of this? Honestly, at this point, we don't have the bandwidth to manage a wider community, because managing a community is a lot of work. It's a full-time job, and we don't want to just put a LinkedIn group and have people there. You need to have a purpose, you have to have an intention, and I just don't want to throw people into a digital space and hope that this is a community. But I would like to involve more people, to have this safe space, as Marina was saying, available to more people, and maybe permeate the industry so that we can have these honest conversations, not just with each other, but with more people, not feeling offended, not feeling triggered, but like from being grounded from where we are. So that's one thing I would like to expand the community of the think tank.
My personal ambition is to grow the think tank into a body of knowledge sharing. So we publish every Thursday. Typically, these are articles that at the core have knowledge sharing. Some of them are very technical. You can go and read the articles by Marta Nieto Cayuela, who is an expert on quality, and she's even putting bits of Python scripts which you can copy paste and run on your site. We have also kind of softer articles that discuss more philosophical questions or ethics and so on. I would like to see this expanding so that people look at the think tank as a source of knowledge that doesn't have any strings attached to it. Like, it's not trying to sell a product or trying to show success. On the contrary, it's trying to show what the problems are, open the eyes of the community and each other to what the issues are, how they can be possibly solved, being entirely honest and being vulnerable. I think that is for me the most important thing. Not be afraid of being vulnerable and honest, because I think only in an honest dialogue can we progress, basically, because there are no masks, there is no pretense. We have this Ask the Think Tank option. I am always very happy whenever we get a question, because this gives us yet another topic to think about, to discuss. Sometimes we answer those questions as a collaborative work. There was a question about the value of localization. How can we prove it? So 6 think tank members actually provided their perspective, which I think is extremely valuable. Where else will you find an answer answered by 6 different people who will give you all the points of view that can be involved there? So that is my favorite rubric, Ask the Think Tank. And what I would like to see as the future development of the think tank is to become a knowledge hub. Additionally, we have a resource page where we put selected articles. So there's a lot of information on AI all over. And what we thought might be a very good contribution of the think tank to the community is to filter the noise from the really quality articles articles. So Stavrula Sokoli, she's managing that, a very rich repository of AI resources, which are wonderfully organized in themes, in complexity, what is technical, what is business. So I invite people to go to the resource pages and find their next reading there. All the articles there, everything has been already read by think tank members, recommended by think tank members. So it's a very good way to cut through the noise and find the really valuable pieces of reading that are worth spending time on.
Thank you. These were really important and useful answers if I think of the audience who's listening to this. This is going to be my last question. Within the think tank, within this group, we have a very specific way of addressing each other. Most posts on the internal group begin with "Dear humans." Why do you think the way we address each other this way is important?
Yes, I mean, it is very important for me to put the focus on the humans, because when we talk about AI, about our industry, advancements, progress, new features, we seem to forget about the humans all the time, right? And this is tied to the whole conversation that we just had. All the aspects that are not tackled in industry events. For example, we were at Log World the other day and there was not so much talk about ethics. There was some about end users, but not about the impact on what we do. Sometimes it's very cool, and sometimes I'm even very excited to say, hey, we achieved this with AI, look at this automation, this is great, and we are very proud of it, and I think that's good as well. I'm not demonizing AI or automation, because that's what we are here to do as well as part of our work. But for me, it's very important to keep bringing us back to what's important in life in general. The only thing that matters and that will last is the humans. It's us, it's the connections that we create with the others. If I'm gone, you will remember me. You will remember me for who I was, for my essence, for my humanity, and not because I developed this AI thing that saved this company a bunch of bugs, right? So for me, it's really important to reiterate of that, and that's what it's important in life for me, and especially in our industry, because we are a people industry. We are the ones that curate human knowledge, human experience, so we cannot forget about that.
Yes, another perspective, and the reason why I love this address line, "Dear humans," is because working in automation and trying to find solutions, you always strive for perfection, right? You want the automation to be 100% accurate, and machines hold that promise. Machines don't really make the type of mistakes that humans make because of fatigue, because of worries, because they were distracted, or because at this very moment they just don't feel good, or on the contrary, they're euphoric, so that they're not applying judgment wisely. So since every day for many hours I actually work with AI, I'm prompting AI, I'm trying to get deterministic prompts and break down everything into clear instructions and be in a way entirely based on formal logic. I like turning to my fellow think tankers with "Dear humans," because for me that is a signal. Now is the time to make mistakes, have distorted judgments, be honest and vulnerable, ask a super silly question or give a super silly answer. Because we are humans, we actually can allow in this group to make mistakes. We don't need to be like automation, always getting it right, always following an established pattern of behavior and reaching the expected answer, which is predictable. So "Dear humans" for me means let's just say what we feel like humans and not try to be perfect. And what I also like is that just like humans, we can disagree with each other. Soon after we established the think tank, actually, I had a heated but super friendly argument with John. We were disagreeing on the usage of verbs. Regarding processes run by AI. Does AI really think? Does it reason? Does it respond? Can we use this verb to describe AI behavior? Very interesting argument, and we had it in the comment fields in the group, and then I realized how good is it to just be able to talk about that, right? Nobody needs to win that argument. It's not about who's right, who's wrong. It's about actually having that human conversation with no answers, which is not what you have with automation.
I'd like to thank you for your time today, and I think I can thank you on behalf of the other think tank members and on behalf of the audience in the localization industry, the entire localization community. So this is a heartfelt thank you for the two of you for conceiving and creating and running this think tank. I think the entire industry can be really grateful to the two of you, and I hope we will be able to, no, I'm sure we will be able to contribute a lot to clearing up the dust, to truth getting across to people through the think tank. And with that, I'd like to say goodbye for now. Before we go, I'd like to ask you to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel of the think tank. And most importantly, please be sure to visit the AI Localization Think Tank website that is included in the description of this video. And whenever you have a question about AI, try to ask the think tank button that Marina has already talked about. Thank you very much again, and goodbye.